This is The Speaking Show. I'm David Newman, and you're tuned in to the #1 podcast for speakers, consultants, and experts who want to speak more profitably. I know. You didn't get enough last time. He was here. He blew everything up. We're still cleaning up the walls after Pat Dwyer's first appearance. Pat, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you, my friend. How are you? Well, nice to see you again. Nice to hear from you again, because I'm now realizing as I'm saying that this is a podcast.
It is. It is. But we're recording it on video, so it's nice to see you and hear you again. And did I tell you I changed my business cards?
No, you did. What are you?
Yeah,
oh, God.
The front says, David Newman and whatever, but the back now has like in some big giant font, I know Pat Dwyer.
Oh, you'll get it returned.
Yeah.
To you over and over again.
So whoever wants to hire me will end up with you, and I think that's poetic justice.
Oh, yeah. I just usually I give business cards out. They just burn them right in front of me. I've made them a flash paper, so at least it's entertaining. But
yes, it goes out with a big.
Yeah, like nice to see you. Ha ha! And then doves out of every orifice.
That's it. That is it. Well, so we're actually seriously a couple of months since our first conversation.
Indeed.
As threatened, we said, we have to have you back. And a lot of guests think I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. And we had so much fun the first time. But apparently your world has changed. So let's talk about that a little bit. How are we pivoting? How have things been shaken and stirred and turned upside down for you?
Well, let me just say the world has changed. I think when you and I spoke first, I think COVID had just begun its reign on the world, if you will. It hadn't quite hit the U.S. as heavily as we were expecting. I think we hadn't even gone into lockdown yet, I don't think, as a country. And now we are... a few months in, 3 months in, I think at this point. And now it's a state issue. And we're dealing with any different level of craziness across this here country. So, yeah, I mean, I for lack of any other term, my world also got thrown upside down, which I think is true about most speakers. We all had to figure out what to do and how to do it. Some people pivoted into virtually speaking. Some people pivoted into writing more. Some people pivoted into crying in the corner, which I think we all did some level of all of those things. I, on the other hand, was, poised to do a whole bunch of gigs that all were postponed. I'm putting this in quotes for those who can't see what's going on. Was postponed and then continued to be postponed and continued to be postponed. And so it got to the point for me that I was like, well, I could do the virtual stuff and that's fine. I'll continue to do that. But was talking to a buddy of mine and he said, you know what, because conferences have been canceled and we still want to show those wares to the world and the vendors wares to the world, we're going to create a TV show and we're going to put it online. And do you know anybody who's a creative director? And I was like, well, my friend, do I have a story for you? And so now I am currently creative directing a TV show that's running on YouTube. Just launched 2 days ago. This is, what are we in, July? Just launched a couple days ago. It's called First Taste TV. It's for school nutrition professionals. So lunch ladies and lunch men's to show them all the different things that they could be ordering for their kids as they now have to move to a model that is mostly individually wrapped products and trying to figure out all that stuff. And I'll be honest with you, David, didn't know diddly about that world before starting this job.
So the client is an association or it's a private company, or who's the client?
It is a private company that happened to be working in the association world, and they saw a need a little bit faster than some of the other associations that are out there and kind of jumped on it. And now it's doing very well.
So it's a replacement for a trade show or an expo, basically?
Yeah, I mean, for putting it in a way that people can understand, it is a talk show and kind of like QVC, except there's no active buying that's happening. It's just we're showing products and we're having a good time and we're talking and we're just enjoying the stories of the companies. We're enjoying the products because there's a lot of taste testing going on, which is super fun. I also on set got a good opportunity to taste a lot of awesome stuff. Like I will say this, when we went to school And when we were in elementary school, junior high school, the food was not spectacular, right?
Could be the understatement of the month.
Yeah, really. It is delicious now. Michelle Obama did a kind of reworking of the way that school food works, and it has to be nutritious now in a higher level than it's ever been. But because it is much more like a restaurant than it's ever been, because kids have now the ability to go other places, the food is good. The food is real good. And so I remember before we all got locked up, I went to one of the conferences for this world and we walked the show floor just trying food. And I was absolutely astounded how good it was. And now we're bringing that to the audience and watching, we're having the conversations about what it is. We're having conversations about, how good it is. And then we're letting these school nutrition professionals decide what they want to do for the kids in the next year. It is a ton of fun. And again, as I had no understanding of that world, the first couple of client calls I was on were very interesting because I would say something and they'd be like, what are you saying? I'm like, agreed. Let's all go on the same page. Pat knows nothing about this. But now I feel as though I could at least stay in the same room with these people. And that's been very, very interesting.
I think when I was in 7th grade, the meatloaf that they served in the lunchroom, I think is categorized somewhere in the Geneva Convention.
Oh, yeah, under more of it?
War crimes.
Oh, war crimes.
War
Yeah,
crimes,
that's fair.
It's kind of like torture and waterboarding and things of this nature that you really can't do that in a civilized world to another human being, but you could do it apparently to a 7th grader.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good standing rule for, physical and emotional harm.
Yeah.
You can pretty much get away with everything with a middle school kid.
Exactly. So this terrifying. Is really, really cool. Now, because you mentioned on set, are you filming this in a studio or where's the studio? How often do you film? How many episodes are planned? What's going on?
Well, the first round that we did was, a bit of a rush situation because we wanted to get to market. And we shot 15 episodes in 3 days in Chicago.
Wow.
It was 3 10-hour days. It was nuts. So my experience in film and my experience in commercials, I brought a lot to the table in regards to what we could accomplish in a small amount of time. And I did what I could to make that happen. Was trying to be way more organized than I needed to be, even including drawing up briefs for the film crew to say, this is the feel of what we're going for in this specific segment, because I didn't want to waste time on set doing that. So I tried to keep everybody well prepped from the artistic side and from the business side, just making sure that we had everything going before we got there. But anyways, we did 15 episodes in 3 days. It was crazy. We all wore masks as best as we could. I had to yell at a number of people to put on their masks a number of different times.
What did that sound like?
I'm not very gracious about it. I have a kid who has a heart defect. And so I was not messing around. And I made sure that that was understood. I think in normal circumstances, I would be considered a tyrant when it comes to masks. Under this, I'm just looking out for, safety.
Right.
I was very, very clear that I was not goofing around when it came to masks. And I know for a fact it didn't work all the time. People still felt the need to take off their masks. But I think I would like to believe that it helped in some respects. So, I mean, when I got home, per instruction from my doctor, I was not sick. I did not get COVID. I still kept myself in isolation for 2 weeks in my office. I set up a blow-up bed in my office for 2 weeks, and my wife was gracious enough to bring me food. I will say, I don't care how much money I will make. Will be hard-pressed to do that again. Watching my children, who are quite young, try to understand why I'm not able to hug them and why I'm not able to get anywhere near them, and watch their sadness, and have my son and daughter cry at distance from me or through a door was the worst thing I could imagine. My most potent story at this point is when I got home and was the first 2 days that I was in the room. My kids, there was a bit of fun and play to the fact that daddy's locked in a room for a little while. But after that, it got, progressively sadder, and the kids started acting out and not understanding why. My wife was struggling quite a bit with the kids. And I remember I read a book to my daughter through the door. I mean, I even put a towel down under the door just to keep any extra whatever coming.
Yeah.
But at one point, my son, who's 3, said, "Daddy, can I hold your hand?" And I remember I bleach wiped my hand and shoved it under the door so that he could hold my fingers, and he wouldn't let go and started crying. And I lost it. There's a point where we can make all the money in the world, and money is certainly important. Money makes the world go around, blah, 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 blah. Without family and without, if you're actively hurting your family, nothing about this matters to me. As we said last time, I do this for friendship. I do this for fun. I do this for love. And that was just absolutely heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking.
So what a fantastic story. I mean, it's sad, obviously, but fantastic kind of three-dimensional, bringing this whole concept home about isolation and separation. Have you been on a business trip for 2 weeks? Because I know it's very different being in the house behind a door. You're there, but you're not. That's different than a business trip. But I mean, you travel, you speak, you've probably gone away for, at least 3-4 days or a week at a time. Have you ever been gone for 2 weeks at a time?
Yeah, close to. I mean, I think probably 10 days was probably one of my longer.
Yeah, but this is a whole different ballgame, right?
I mean, it is different because you can hear the things that are going on in the house. Because, when you get a report from your spouse at the end of the day, it's a different thing. Right. It's like, oh, I had a very, very hard day. I'm going to kill our children. It's like, great. I understand that. I understand how that feels. What can I do to talk you through this? Versus I am hearing this happen and I cannot protect anyone or help anyone or make anybody feel better or any of those things. It is a different animal. Yeah. I think even if I had been at a hotel for 2 weeks, that might have made this easier for everybody, except that I'm cheap enough that I ain't going to pay for a hotel for 2 weeks.
Right.
That's insane. So yeah, I mean, to your point, it is very, very different. It's very, very weird. This is already a much more morose podcast than we did last time.
Oh, yeah, dark. Oh, this is dark. I mean, people have already tuned out, so it's just really you and me. It
is, yeah.
No one's left.
So what are you doing later, man? You want to hang out?
Well, okay. We might just go out for a little beverage, and then you and I can kind of hang out, and who knows what'll happen? Who knows what mayhem will evolve?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to get near you though,
okay, fine,
because of COVID-19.
Okay,
yeah.
Then I'm not going to do that thing like last time, like about licking your hand.
Yeah. Okay, maybe we'll get just close enough for that part. Who's this guy goes there?
You said you did 15 episodes. You said you do not want to go through that again. What's the future of the show? Or are you hoping that by the time we need the next 15, things will clear up a little bit?
I'm keeping hope alive. I mean, I don't believe that there is hope that this is going to happen. Politics aside, I think that certain decisions aren't being made in a way that other countries or places have shown us that work. So that's unfortunate because when we do get around to shooting the next season, probably early next year, I don't know if it will be done. And then I think I might be more mentally prepared for it at that point. Again, I just don't know.
Right.
But I think that not unlike everybody else in the country, I think we're all sitting in our houses. We're trying, from what I understand right now in the world of the United States of these Americas, people are either getting evicted, they are changing their house because they think it's too big or not big enough. They are buying cars. And from what I understand, they are buying RVs, which I think is stupendous. So that actually brings us to our next delightful conversation because my family, I am sitting in a house in Wisconsin. I have enjoyed this house quite nicely. As of 2 days ago, we have sold our house. I am moving into an RV and we'll be traveling the country over the next year until we then come back either here or somewhere else and downsize. But we have decided, we found an RV, we're getting it remodeled because it's an older RV. Because again, I told you, I'm a little cheap. I'm not going to buy a full-blown new RV. It doesn't make any sense. School is online. My work is online. The world is online. So if we're going to do it, let's do it now. So we're taking the kids, we're getting in an RV, and I'm literally moving into an RV and traveling the country for the next year. We have to be out of our house in a month. It's going to be messy, but it's going to be awesome.
What are you going to do with all the stuff?
I'm getting rid of all my stuff. Forget it. I don't need it. It's just stuff. So, I mean, yeah, we're going to get a storage locker for the big things that we want. Some books, some family pictures, Christmas decorations, things like that. The heirlooms.
Sure.
But for the most part, I'm going to go on Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to sell all this stuff. It's going to be like a really gross yard sale is what's going to happen. Except people aren't going to go in my house. I'm going to bring it out to the lawn and they can pick it up. It's
Now,
going to be nuts.
RVing, I have a arm's length relationship with RVing because my in-laws used to do a tremendous amount of RVing. And of course, they got into the small RV, which then they traded up for the medium-sized RV. Eventually, they had this like freaking country and western tour bus size RV. And then they took a downsizing step and they're now back to a medium-sized RV. What I've noticed in this arm's length relationship is two things. Number one, these people are crazy. And number two, it's a whole culture. They know all the campgrounds. They know all the hookups. They know like, oh, this is good because the bathrooms smell good over here. You don't want to go to those bathrooms over there because they're terrible. You got a much bigger pad over here and these pads are kind of small. And I mean, are you ready for this culture?
I know nothing about this. So I know nothing about RVs. I've never had an RV. My mom has one, but I was well out of the house at that point. I don't talk with her about it much because it doesn't end well, that conversation. So I'm coming in completely blank, completely flat. My wife and I have started a new series of handles and we're a YouTube channel called Dwy Tryin'. My last name is Dwyer, so we're going to Dwy Tryin', live life for Dwy Tryin'. That's what we're going to do. We're going to document all that we're doing. We're going to try to just see if anybody cares and just have a good time. We're going to go to all the national parks. I don't know what I'm in for, honestly. I know that if this turns into a year-long trip, fantastic. If this turns into a 6-month trip.
I have the name for your travel log. It's Dwyways and Byways.
Dwyways and Byways. I'm writing it down.
Jot that one down.
Everyone heard it here
first. Byways and dives.
Byways and dives. I was teasing with one of my friends that I was going to start a side weight loss blog under the same pseudonym because, if I'm going to do it, let's dive into a new life, shall we?
Sure.
Let's just do everything. And he suggested a Dwy Sweat is his suggestion. I was like, that's pretty good. I don't mind that. It's kind of gross, but I'll take it.
You can do a lot with that.
Yeah.
Hey, this interview is a real moneymaker. If you're serious about ramping up your reach and revenue as a speaker, trainer, or expert, book a confidential speaker strategy call with our team. The link is doitmarketing.com/call. It will be the most valuable 45 minutes you invest in your speaking-driven business. Speaking of value, let's get back to the show. I'm fascinated now about this RV retrofitting. Because I know that when my in-laws bought an RV, it's like buying a house. I mean, what kind of trim, what kind of upholstery, what kind of carpeting? You want the shower in the back, you want the shower on the left, you want the shower on the right. You want the pop-out, you want the sofa, do you want the captain's chairs? There's a zillion things to customize. When you're looking at your RV, I'm curious, first of all, how do you find a used RV? And then what did you decide for the retrofitting?
So we started by looking at just RVs to kind of understand, because we had never stepped foot in an RV prior to, like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
So we went to 4 different RV companies in one day and just was like, hey, let's go just tour RVs and pretend like we're going to buy one that day so that they show us around and give us a good time. And, they are like the good ones, the ones that people like could really, really hang out in are like $300,000. And I am not dropping that kind of money on anything.
That's the country and western tour bus.
Yeah, forget it. It's not happening. I'm not doing that. So we were looking at do we go real small? I mean, so I have 2 kids. I have a dog. I have a wife. I have to,
Not necessarily in that order.
No, never. No, it's always wife first. Let's be honest. And then maybe dog and then occasionally kids. But we happened to talk to a friend about it. Their parents happen to be getting out of their RV. They have a 38-foot RV from a few years ago, but it's only got like 20,000 miles on it. We want to get rid of it. We want to offload it. We'll give it to you for 30,000 less than it's worth. What do you think? And so we went to go see it. And we're like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do this one. It doesn't have certainly the features that we were like, these would be really good to have. Like, for instance, bunk beds in an RV, in a RV that size would be great for my kids because we can, close them off. They'd be in their own space. They'd have their own space. That's not in this one. There will be some concessions to this lifestyle, certainly, but it's cheaper. So from a refurbishment standpoint, because my kids are little, the biggest problem has been trying to get somebody who would create or build or do something that car seats can fit in, because you should not be putting kids sideways in any car anyways.
Right.
Never mind an RV. I mean, now RVs aren't like super tested for crash tests or anything like that. So they are going to be what they're going to be. But trying to get somebody in the country to put in captain's chairs for me that might be tethered to the frame so that, long story short, I made 17 hours worth of calls. I finally got somebody who is able and qualified to make captain's chairs with seatbelts and tethers inside of them. I've got somebody else who's going to bolt them into the frame. We were talking about putting down a metal plate for a while, but from a weight cost ratio, it got kooky. We're taking out a full couch. We're putting those chairs in, and while we're at it, let's get floors put in it. So we're putting in, laminate hardwood floors that look like wood, but they're laminate. It's kooky. I have to take it a couple states over to get this done. At this point, I have to be out of my house in a month. This might not happen for a month and a half. So that's going to be weird. There's a lot of leaping here.
Yes.
We're just going to go for it. So I have always adhered to the belief that you should just go. The world will figure itself out, or it won't. It's conservation of energy, right? Like if I put out energy into the world, it's going to come back to me. It might not be how I think, but it'll come back to me. I mean, I think the creative director thing's a great example. I was just calling a friend. I needed work anyways. I was calling a friend. There you go. It's right there. It was just a networking thing. It kind of worked out. Now we find ourselves in this amazing situation. The RV thing is unbelievably scary, but exciting in the fact that it is an unknown. I mean, I've always been a fan of leaping and understanding that, I think with the RV, if it doesn't work out, we'll come back. If it doesn't work out, we'll stop. If we get to Christmas and we go, oh, I hate this. This is not fun for us. We'll figure it out. We'll sell the RV. We'll move into a townhome or something. Life is way too short, just way too short. I might as well just explore and go. And that could be micro. It could be macro. You might as well just do every single day, do something. That might be the improviser speaking, but the idea of just getting out there and trying and failing is okay as long as you're doing something. If you needle away at what could happen, you're never going to do anything, or you're not going to do stuff that could be nearly as rich. I could be horribly wrong here. This could backfire, not in a car sense. This could literally backfire and blow up in my face. Or this could be the most magnificent, fantastic, wonderful thing I've ever done. And I could find myself living in a new city, in a new place. The world is virtual. It's not like I can't see the people I know, my family, my friends. We all live right next door to each other now because we can video chat. It's not, David licking my hands or face or whatever.
Not anymore.
But there's friendship. And it exists across, David, you and I have never met in person. I think I saw you on stage once.
Yes.
I don't know if we've ever actually met in person per se, but we've created a fantastic friendship on the internet and, video chatting and just hanging out and being goofy. That's not something that could have happened. I don't need to know some idiot from Philadelphia. Let's be honest. But here we are. Here we find ourselves.
You got one.
I know, bud. Come on. Look at us. Such good friends.
I love what you said about leaping, because one of my favorite phrases, one of my go-to phrases in situations like this is action eliminates fear. So just do something. You don't have to be sure it's going to work. In fact, most of the things that we do, we're not sure it's going to work. There's no such thing as like guaranteed, do A and you will get B. Life doesn't work that way, right? It's sloppy, it's messy, there's missed connections, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. The other thing is that, action leads to traction, right? Once you start to get some momentum behind what you're doing, even if 80% of the time you're right, 20% of the time you're wrong, but you're going to be moving towards some sort of result, as opposed to sitting in your office, you're paralyzed by fear, or, oh my gosh, what if this and what if that, and I couldn't possibly, and this will never work. I mean, it's funny, right? Because one of your areas of expertise is improv, and that's the whole basis of improv. If you don't start, or you don't, you're saying, oh, what if the first thing that I say isn't funny? And we all know that improv is not designed to be funny. Improv is designed to be spontaneous. If you don't give into that spontaneity, you're never going to get to funny. You're never going to get to, oh my gosh, that turned out perfectly, Leo. I mean, the whole basis of improv, we could not have planned it. It turned out so great, we could not have planned it if we tried.
I have adhered to a belief that there are no regrets and there's no reason for regrets. Now, that's easy to say because perhaps I've lived a delightful life, or perhaps I look at it as lessening. So I know that good or bad, whatever's going to happen, I'm learning something from it. It's probably not what I thought it was going to be, but it's making me stronger. I like who I am, and everything that I have become is because of my successes and my failures together. There's not one or the other. So, like, have screwed up a lot. I have done probably horrible things, but I'm not happy that they happened, but I don't regret them because they've made me a better person, or they've made me a person that I've become and that I like to be, and that is robust in his ability to exist. And I like that. And that's how I have always, I mean, I think it's also, we were talking a little bit earlier about the idea of I'm very Irish. You know, Irish funerals are a great example, right? We party, we drink, we celebrate the life that was and how they positively influenced us. The sadness is there, of course, but it's about who they became to us and how they positively affected us. So I think of that, but in regards to my life, like, what's the point of me regretting the things that I've done or the mistakes that I've made? Because they've made me better. They've influenced me positively in some respect.
Super quick commercial break. Isn't this interview amazing? If you'd like to get more ideas on how to start or grow your speaking business fast, pop over to our free training at doitmarketing.com/webinar. I think the other cool thing with this is that you're really embracing the unknown. And, you know, we could all be hit by the ice cream truck tomorrow. As you said, life is short. And, you know, so I think everyone's life and career and business is unknown. You think you know, or you have plans, but how often do those plans roll out the exact way that you were hoping or thinking they would? Not often. So now here you are. The uncertainty is always going to be there, but you're embracing the uncertainty.
Well, I mean, I also just the idea of doing Dwight trying and trying to make it these experiences, but also what am I going to learn from this, and how could that potentially help? Is that going to help me in speaking? Is it going to help me in, you know, creation and blogging and all these things? Like, I'm sure, I am positive when I am done with this adventure, it will influence me as a speaker. I don't see how it couldn't. From, you know, any kind of number of Instagram posts to what we become as a family because of this. There's a lot to look at and a lot to weigh and a lot of play to be had. Yeah. Am I pivoting in some respects? Sure. But I'm not. It's still all the same stuff. It's just, you know, I'm needling away at it a little differently. Like, I'm doing creative directing, but that's not different than me writing a speech. It's the same skill set.
Right.
It's just, you know, where am I putting it and what am I doing with it?
Now, you mentioned Instagram, and you also said that you're going to document and have some fun with this along the way. Have you decided on kind of a preferred media? Like, will it be mostly Instagram? Will it be some YouTube? Will it be some blogging and some writing and some journaling? Will it be all of the above, or are you going to kind of double down? No, it's going to be video. It's going to be video, or it's going to be Instagram. What's your journaling and documenting strategy?
Well, I think they're all for different things, right? And they're all for different, I mean, I hate to say it this way. They might even be for different learning styles. So Twitter, I don't love Twitter. I mean, I don't really enjoy Twitter at all. I might use Twitter to just pump the Instagram stuff.
Sure.
Because it just kind of stands alone. And what I'm doing, I think, is going to be very visual. So pictures and video are going to be key, but also blogging is going to be key. My wife is a good writer. She will probably handle all the blogging stuff just because that's, you know, her wheelhouse. I'll probably keep doing podcasting. We're looking at that. I will definitely be doing video. We're going to be doing some YouTube stuff. Also, you know, smaller posts on Instagram. We are looking at, well, I mean, the adventure offering that I had through my sketch group and then me doing it myself will continue. And I'm going to do that at locations all over the country, which actually brings me to One Things, the podcast that we talked about last time. My podcast, One Things. We are still doing One Things, but we are also now going to do Stephen is my partner in New Zealand, and he's going to go find a site that I'm going to pick on a map. And then I'm going to go to a site in the US that there's no reason why I should be there. Because that's, you know, like Mount Rushmore is a great example, right? I'll be at Mount Rushmore. He'll be at a statue of somebody. And we'll just video chat through that. And you'll be there and I'll be here. And we're going to talk about these things just for fun. So we're going to start doing that outside of One Things. And this is just a great opportunity to do that without having to, find the capital to do that because I'm already going to be out in the world.
Yeah.
So I think there's ways to do everything. That very roundabout way to answer your question is we're going to do everything. We might as well. What else is going on?
Right.
The RV culture, from what I can tell from YouTube, can be best summarized as you have nowhere to be and all day to get there. So I think embracing that as a culture and embracing the time to work and the time to play and making work play and making play work is going to be such a welcome thing. I'm really looking forward to not having to grind and just making life be what it's going to be. And I can say that, also knowing that I have some security in being a creative director right now. If that falls out, the third time we do this, I might have even less hair than I have now, which I think we all know from my picture does not exist anyways.
Well, I was just telling a group of clients, I said, this is such a fantastic time to do whatever the hell you want to do. What I said to them is nobody, and I mean nobody, knows what the hell is going on.
No.
Even people who pretend to know what the hell is going on, they don't know what the hell's going on because tomorrow morning, something else is going to be going on. And it's like we're living in this time of disruption and discontinuous change and topsy-turvy, left turn, right turn, 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 5 steps forward. So what a fantastic time. Just throw yourself into the mix. Because literally in a world where no one knows what the hell is going on, you know as much as the smartest person in the world. And you can do as much as the bravest person in the world. And you can be whoever the hell you want to be because the cast of characters has just been shaken, stirred, thrown out the window, and everything is up for grabs. So not in a sense of kind of mayhem and craziness.
Oh, no, of course not.
But in a creative sense, right? We talk about creative destruction. Welcome to the world of creative destruction. And then, of course, after that phase, you get to reinvent and recreate who you are, who you want to be, what you want to do, how you want to spend your time, how you want to make a living. And there's so much freedom in this concept that truly nobody on the planet knows what the hell is going on right now. So go for it. I mean, you're embracing that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think whenever I teach about improv, we talk about Legos. And we talk about, you get a big tub of Legos, right? And you dump it out in front of you. And the challenge is to build a building. Everyone is going to take all their Legos, look at the pieces, and they're going to build something. It will be sturdy. It will be strong. It will look unlike anything else in that room. But it's going to be a building. And if you can take an opportunity to just take a step back from your own emotional wants and just look at the world and look at what you have in front of you, you're going to give yourself opportunities. You're going to build your building. And it doesn't have to be like anybody else's building because it cannot be one way or another. I mean, I think there is a failing in myopic thinking that your life is going to be like anybody else's. The improv has brought me to a point where I just go. I just figure, I know I'm building my building. It's going to be my building, and that's all that there is to it. I don't want to apologize for my building because it's pretty awesome for my building. And you know what? If it blows down, you know what I get to do? I get to build it again, and that's fun. I like the building.
And you're always going to have the bricks.
I mean, Legos is good to come by, I'll tell you. Whew.
Good stuff.
There's always a Toys R Us somewhere, am I right?
Well, tell us, how do we keep track of your oncoming adventures? Give us the link, the YouTube channel. Let's talk about the series that you're creative directing. Let's put all those links right under this episode at thespeakingshow.com. But where should we send people? What links can we share so they can keep track of you and all of your pursuits and adventures?
Indeed. So we're Dwy Trying. So DWY, like my name, and then Tryin without the G at the end. So Dwy Tryin. So yeah, again, live life, Dwy Tryin. Oddly enough, Dwy Tryin wasn't taken, which is different than the rest of my world because you can also find me at patdwyerwastaken.com. But Dwy Trying on I'm even on Reddit at this point, which is who needs to be on Reddit? Let's be honest. but I have secured Do I Try It on pretty much everything, and we're
that's the YouTube channel, that's the Facebook page, that's Instagram, that's everything.
Everything. Do I Try It? Yep, at Do I Try It. Very excited about that and very excited about these adventures. I think my wife and I have it on our docket today to walk out in front of our sold sign of the house and have our first video right now to just say like, hey, check it out. So when you do end up hearing this, when this gets edited and you all get to hear this podcast, hop on the YouTubus, I believe is how it's pronounced, YouTubus, and check it out. Go see where Pat Dwyer is in the world right now, because I promise you what's the turnaround on this thing? Like 20 weeks or something? So I'm probably Christmas. I'm probably back in Wisconsin at that point.
Yeah.
But
it's all going to be over. It's going to be done.
See, we have to stop saying that. This is not going anywhere. And even if it does, there's going to be something else. If I can leave us with anything other than all my social media handles, it would be to say that we just need to stop trying to get back to normal, because this is normal. This is life. We are not going back. It will not exist. If no other reason, everyone's going to be working at home from now on. Get used to it. This is not something that's going to change. People have realized that they can go into the office, but they can also stay in their jammy pants and work. And productivity is not dipping. It's not happening. This is our world. Welcome to the future space times, people. We need to accept it. We need to go. Let's go hard. If we go hard, we got to stop going backwards. We can't make things again. I'm not going to make anything great again. I'm going to make it now is what I'm going to do, is what I'm saying. I mean, I just made this way more political than I meant to. That's not what I was saying. But this is now. Let's think about what's coming. Let's not think about what we could be. The 50s ain't coming back, people. The atom has already been split. Let's do this. Come on.
That door is closed. It's time to move on.
Move forward. Move forward. Your ex-wife is in that door. Just keep going. You don't want to be there. So you don't want to be back there. Go for it.
No, you totally don't. I don't even have an ex-wife, and that concept is scary.
Yeah, she's back there, man. That's what I'm saying. You got to get out of here.
Right. That's like the alternate universe where Spock has the beard.
Yeah.
Not good.
His eyebrows are slightly bigger.
Yeah,
exactly.
No,
it doesn't.
Exactly.
Doesn't end well.
Yeah, the world of torture and murder. So we're not going to go back there. We're going to go forward, or do I try it?
Do I try it?
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Speaking Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on iTunes. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thespeakingshow.com. See you next time.